cells.
That's
that I was talking
fantastic.
about.
It looks great. I mean, looks like a tremendous setup for your first one. We'll just start off by saying that you were very kind to leave a review on the website. Thank you so much for leaving a review. It means a lot to hear that you had a
Sure.
good experience with MakerPipe, and I definitely want to hear about that. But you left a review on the it was the 45-degree connector that you left a review on. So thank you. And
Yes.
it mentioned that you were working on a greenhouse and you had used MakerPipe a couple of times. So, I'm excited to see those today for sure.
Yep, absolutely. And I guess from a technical perspective, I wasn't sure. I had gotten, a request for the review on the particular fitting. And so I've subsequently gotten a few other ones. So I kind of wanted to just get one that covered, all the fittings in general. So, at some point I'll go back and do some other ones.
Oh,
as
more
well.
reviews. We would appreciate it.
Yeah.
But,
And that's what it's all about nowadays. So it's getting the word out. So
yeah, it's helpful for people thinking about building something with MakerPipe, to see what
yeah,
other people have built. And that's been our main push, is just to show the creativity and the use of our customers. So I appreciate you doing that. You had a good experience overall?
Oh, excellent. And I'm an engineer by trade, a structural engineer. I work in the natural gas industry. I won't say where, but always loved building things as a kid, Lego bricks, erector sets and stuff like that. So when I was looking for a solution, to reinforce this greenhouse, which, it's an okay greenhouse, but let's face it, it's a Harbor Freight. And a lot of times those items need to be tricked out a little bit. So as I looked around and did a search for structural, pipe fittings, I got some that were overkill. And then of course I came across your site and, working with 3/4 inch conduit, which is, you can get it anywhere. And so I chose that. And when I got them, the one thing, and I hadn't realized that they were made in America. When I got them, I mean, they're very high quality, both in the machining and in the coating. Interestingly enough, I just built a big powder coating oven from scratch, which I haven't fired up yet. But I was amazed at the quality of the nuts and bolts and just the fittings themselves. They're very clean, easy to work with. No messed up threads or anything, and the coating is very, very nice on the fittings. And of course, the rubber / plastic sleeves on it make it nice because they don't slip. So it was just a no-brainer. And I've had quite a few orders, and like I said, I'm going to be ordering more because sky's the limit. And I almost hate to look at some of the videos and ideas on your site, because then I go building. And but anyway, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's the game plan, to inspire.
Yeah.
But thanks so much for that. It's really important to us that it is made in America, and we don't do a good enough job of saying that, I think.
Yeah.
I come from a background in manufacturing, and it just makes sense to make it ourselves. We're makers. So I'm glad to hear that you like that part of it, because it means a lot to us.
Great.
It looks like you're in the greenhouse.
Yes.
You flipped around.
I think we're good now. So I'll start out, obviously, like I said before, I wanted something to hold the greenhouse up against winds, wind loads. Also, we're in Pennsylvania, so Pittsburgh, so we get some snow. so really the core of it was all 3/4. Now, I did have to go to some 1-inch, which eventually there'll be your fittings, but had to go to a canopy there. And then I made modifications, 3/4 to 1-inch welded fitting there. Welding's a little sloppy, but you can see I took one of your 45s, and just bent a piece of 3/4, and then tacked it on to 1-inch to get. I wanted the 1-inch for the structural support, but the fittings just they're so nice because we're doing tomatoes and cucumbers in here, which will train, and you can just take pieces out very quickly, interchange them, and it's also nice because it gives you something to tie off on and secure other items. But the versatility of your fittings are just excellent.
Well, that's great, Brett. Have you been gardening for some time? Is this a new hobby for you?
This is a new COVID venture.
Yeah.
My wife always wanted a greenhouse. I can get you more photos, but my wife always wanted a greenhouse, and it just seemed like a fun thing to do. And I love getting involved in projects, and it's pretty much all I do. So we started out with a cheaper greenhouse, and then just kind of tricked it out with exhaust systems and fans. But again, a lot of it was made possible, and we have all of the light, the grow lights, as well as the lines that we're going to eventually train these. There's a line there from for a cucumber, and these will hang from the pipes, and there are your fittings there to give a cross piece that we can tie off on. So
oh, great. Now you mentioned you got the greenhouse from Harbor Freight.
Yes, yeah,
are you able to see my screen? I pulled up one. I was curious if this was if I had the right one in mind. Are you able to see the one
yes,
that got pulled up?
That is the identical one.
Oh, okay, great.
I can see that. Yeah, it's the 10x12. It's pretty popular because the entry point on it, with a coupon, you get them for $800 or $900. A real good greenhouse is going to cost you $5,000 or $6,000. Of course, you get what you pay for sometimes, but with there's a lot of blogs and sites out there with a community where people modify these particular greenhouses, and to different degrees. And one of the things that I first saw that was the reinforcement, and folks were doing things with conduit, 1/2-inch conduit, and that's why I chose the 3/4. And I told you the story about your fittings. It just so I would imagine that in addition to when you put this online, I'm actually going to do a video on the actual Harbor Freight build, and all the add-ons that I did, and certainly one of the highlights will be your fitting. So hopefully you'll get some collateral business out of that, because it's easy to work with. All you really need, I have all power equipment, but you can just get a tube cutter, of course, and just cut the 3/4-inch conduit, and boom, you're there. An Allen's head wrench, and that's it. The other thing that I haven't tried are the bicycle seat clamps. I saw that a couple folks were using them, which if you don't have a heavy load on it, which I don't on most of the stuff, that's great, because then you can move and adjust and so forth, with those quick release those cam clasps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I saw you had
a really neat one.
There was, I don't know if it was a blog session on that or a particular video on the bike clamps. So is
Yeah.
that something, obviously I think I talked to your wife maybe early on, and she had indicated that you're looking to expand a little bit, maybe into 1-inch pieces, as well as maybe an adjustable angle piece for the 3/4.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. We do all of our tooling in-house, so we have the
Uh-huh.
capability to do new connectors, and we're working on the larger sizes, 1 inch. We've had a lot of requests for that. And then
Yes.
also the adjustable angle has been a big one. We're looking at a adjustable flange and then a rigid flange. And those some of the connectors people have requested most.
That's
And
great.
yeah, it's it takes a lot to do the tooling, but we're working towards that, and hopefully I'll have those
Sure,
soon.
sure.
Um, going back to the Harbor Freight greenhouse, I mean, what
Yes.
what kind of Harbor Freight product doesn't kind of need a little bit of tweaking off the gate, you know? Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And there's this whole community out there. I buy mixes. I'll buy top quality tools and equipment, but then once in a while I just say I can't spend an extra $400 or something, and I might take a crack at the Harbor Freight. But you just have to know what you're getting into, and I have a lot of welding capability here, so I don't have machining yet, but if I did, that would be an extra. But you can usually get the stuff to work pretty well, and I'm doing it more from a hobby perspective than a business. So, if you're a professional, I guess you're probably not going to go with Harbor Freight. But
yeah, well,
Ed,
it's a great way to get into it, right? Like you're saying, you just started gardening and with your greenhouse, so it's
yeah,
absolutely a fantastic way to get into it cheap. And we've had other customers that have used that same greenhouse or a similar Harbor Freight greenhouse and have reinforced it. I think I pulled this one up on the community, and I believe this was a Harbor Freight greenhouse where they just, they reinforced that roof. That seems to be one of the weaker points.
yes, yeah, that's the one that I saw um, after I kind of and I went a little differently. The one thing that wasn't borne out here was, oh, you'll see it on the hydroponics build. One thing that was nice about the your fittings was that I had built shelving, um, and it was modular shelving made out of white cedar. And originally we had a lot of plants on multi-stage and levels, but since then we've taken them out. But that was nice, and I've since incorporated a couple on the cart. And you'll see when I show the cart that why I said I need some 90s, because I'm using some 4-ways as 90s, and I was going to cut them, and I said, no, I'm not going to ruin these fittings. So um, I'll put an order in for some 90s. But this is the just little setup that I have. It's our entry into hydroponics. It's nothing sophisticated, but you can see these are your casters, and there's the 4-way, soon to be 90s when I get them. I love the caps too, and
Oh, good.
you can see that this is nice because I can wheel it out into the um, sun when it's sunny. And
That's
these are the shelves
that's
that I was talking
fantastic.
about.
It looks great. I mean, um, looks looks like a tremendous setup for your first one.
Yeah, it's like I said that I had a fair amount of fittings left, and so I'm going to put them to work. And that's these shelves just sit on in the greenhouse. Those latches keep them from falling out and forward. But that's the versatility of it. And then once I go to something bigger, I can disassemble this and reuse it in another configuration, which is another nice thing about these fittings. They're not spent once you use them.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad you're able to use them like that. So
Yep.
do you mind going through the system a little bit, Brett? Because it looks really interesting.
The actual operation of the hydroponics?
Yeah,
Or?
just in general,
Yeah,
it'd be neat to know about it. It looks like a
sure.
great setup.
So again, I'm an amateur. I just entered into this. What was it? The 1st of May. This was set up. So just less than a week ago. So there's just one container here which holds the water with the nutrients. There's a small pump that it pumps the water up here and pumps it into the top layer of the hydroponic tubes. And then this is the whole setup is just sloped a little bit to let gravity work and run the water through. The water will come across here, down here, through this one, down here, over, and then it'll go out this tube and back into the chamber here. Remix, and there's aeration in there to keep things from stagnating. So it's a little closed system, rather inexpensive to start. And then I have some little seedlings here, some lettuces and some arugula and little stuff to make salads. So
Yeah.
and then this is the grow light, obviously, which is the key. And then in Pittsburgh here, we don't get a lot of sun, so you need the grow lights. Today it's sunny, and I haven't yet wheeled it out because I just built this yesterday. I actually put it together and anticipating our call together, and said, hey, this would be a nice thing to throw together and show how the fittings are used. So it's nice, very, very versatile. I'm very pleased with all of your fittings. And I wish that I had a third build that I did. It was a desk that my grandson built for his father. And we actually used the small, and I wish I had, here it is. This is not fully built out, but hopefully your folks can see it. So,
oh, great.
This
You
was
got
a little
some
desk.
minis experience too.
Yeah, this was a little desk that we built. Now, reason the reason that that's black and blue is that I ordered the shrink wrap and I didn't order enough. So I had some black shrink wrap and some blue shrink wrap, and we were trying to figure out. He's 12 years old. This isn't fully fitted out. Of course, it has a wood. In the real life, it has a wood top, and then there's a little. I bent some conduit, and there's a little shelf that goes here to put books and stuff on. But we actually built this out with the particular fittings that are on here, and that worked out real nice. The shrink wrap really gives it a nice look too.
Yeah, for indoor builds like that, it really does. Well, that's fantastic. Yeah. So did you build it with your grandson?
Yes, we built it together. Truth be told, I probably did most of the build, but he supervised and I let him do things. He did the shrink wrap, used the heat gun and did the shrink wrap, and he just wasn't strong enough to do some of the tightening down on the fittings, but he actually designed it. He drew it out, and then I showed him the fittings, and we actually had did a FaceTime call, and I built this with his supervision, this prototype, and then we ordered some fittings, and the rest was history. So anyway,
that's great. That sounds like a good activity, and to make it as
it was fun.
That's cool.
It was fun. So anyway, I didn't know if there's anything else you wanted to cover.
Yeah, Brett, can I ask you a question about the hydroponic system?
Absolutely.
I mean, it is so neat, and you just did it, so it's fresh in your mind.
Yeah.
what kind of advice would you give your former self if you were going to redo this?
You mean as far as the maker build or just the overall system?
Yeah, just the overall system. We get a lot of people that are interested in using or making hydroponic systems, and I was just curious if you had any advice for your
Uh,
your previous self.
well, yeah, I'm starting to dabble a little more into the technical aspects of it, the water quality. But this was a this particular set was not homemade. It was a cheaper buy on Amazon. It actually, it's not regular schedule 40 pipe. It's some different schedule, but it went together easily. It doesn't leak, and I just wanted to have it to just kind of take a jump into hydroponics, and test it out before I made any more, made bigger commitments.
Mhm.
And like for instance, these little cups, um, are a little bit small for lettuce, but what we decided we'll do is um, just pick it as a whole head when it matures. Lettuce should really be on in a 3-inch basket, as I've read and learned. The other thing is the water quality. Just folks should read up on water quality. It's extremely important. pH and electrical conductivity and parts per million of the nutrients. So it gets fairly technical, but on the other hand, it's fun. And the seeds might cost you 10 or $20, and this setup might cost you 60 or $70. So probably under $100 you could get started. Um, and having this cart, is going to help me save some energy, because my other project is I have electric heaters in that greenhouse. Decided not to go with gas, so I put an energy usage system in on our breaker panel, because I ran a new 240 circuit out to the greenhouse. So looking at the energy usage and trying to figure it all out. But for now, it's a hobby, and you know how hobbies go. You tend to spend a little bit more money on them because you're not doing it for a living. So um,
Right.
anyway, one more thing I wanted to show you if you have the time,
Oh yeah,
Dave.
absolutely.
Actually going to walk outside here because I got the idea a while ago. We have a small koi pond here, and I actually have some hydroponics started in here. But what I wanted to show you was this cover, and this cover is made out of 1/2-inch conduit, and I bent it and welded it, which technically you're not supposed to weld galvanized pipe. But this is protection from blue herons and raccoons, and it opens. But the reason that I'm showing you this is that it was a lot of work to weld. This is thin walled pipe. I'm sure you're familiar with 1/2-inch EMT conduit.
Sure.
But then I'm thinking, wow, okay, well, I could probably, because I'd like to build these for other people, because it's an attractive, functional product, and a lot of people battle the blue herons, which come and eat their prize koi. Um, but anyway, I thought that I could actually cut the pieces and bend them, and then use maker pipe fittings for some of, if not all of, the connections. Some of the angles here are a little tricky, but I could even build it in modular sections. It would be easier for it to move. This thing actually picks up like this.
Oh wow, that's
To gain
fantastic. You
access
did
to
a amazing job on that.
But anyway,
A lot of
that's
welding.
what I was thinking, that instead of welding it, which is very laborious and unsafe, frankly, I could either use 3/4 or use the 3/4 to half bushings that you have to do something like this. Because a couple of people have asked me for these to build one of these covers for their pond. So just a thought, if anyone's looking and watches this and says, hey, that's pretty cool. Maybe someone will take a whack at building one initially with your fittings and the pipe.
Yeah, that's impressive. That really is a lot of work that I bet went into that, and tremendous job. Those has it done a good job of protecting your?
Oh yeah. The herons cannot. They came in as I was building it, and I left it unattended. I was actually fitting these doors, and I had the door off, and the heron came along and got one of the larger koi. So this is the hydroponics here that I'm just playing around with up there, and the floating reservoir. So
Oh, neat.
anyway, sky's the limit with your fittings. Hopefully that got you some good content, because like I said, I'm just going to keep using them, and when I do other builds, I'll share them with you, and I'll keep looking at your site, because like I said, there's a lot of the ideas on your site are amazing. Just unbelievable, the creativity of people.
It is. It's really impressive, and I appreciate the creativity that you put into your builds and sharing them with us today, Bret. They're really cool. I liked them a lot, and that koi pond is a new one on me, but I can really see where that could be. That could be useful. Where instead of welding it and making a frame and protection for the koi pond out of maker pipe.
Yep, definitely could be done. I mean, I could definitely build that pretty close and a lot quicker with the fittings than I could have, welding. So
Right.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll build one and send it your way. Send some photos your way.
Yeah. Or maybe if we have anybody that watches this and they're interested in protecting their koi pond, we could link them up with you and see if you guys
Absolutely
work together. But that's really neat. I'm glad you showed me that.
Absolutely. Be glad to.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Bret. I appreciate your time. Thanks for the orders and the business. We truly appreciate it. And the review, that was fantastic. And if there's anything else I can do for you, you just let me know. Happy to do it.
My pleasure. Thank you, Dave. Thanks for the opportunity, and good luck with expanding into other fittings. I'll be waiting anxiously for the availability. So
okay.
I hope you have a good one.
All right. You too. Thanks, Bret.
All right. Thanks, Dave. Take care.
Bye.